Hello everyone, it's your bud. I'm writing the script for this at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's been another really rough day for me, and I thought I'd respond to a comment that I received asking about my health problems. I've been disabled my entire life, and I've never had a day without pain. The only way to live without pain is either to do nothing or to make all of my feelings numb, but I will discuss that more later on. First, before my problems, I should mention my solutions. I have 4 things to keep in mind at all times. Above all is resilience. Resilience is my way to approach everything in life. Resilience is then applied to these 3 ideas or aspects: health, patience, and happiness. Each of these are their own rewards. When you work on your health, you're rewarded with health. When you work on your patience, you're rewarded with more patience. And then happiness is something that must be actively engaged in and should not be expected to happen to you unless you're trying to achieve it. So to start, I have 2 major problems, one called a Chiari Malformation, the other called Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome. A Chiari Malformation is a problem with the vertebrates in a person's neck. You probably already know about the lower vertebrae called the lumbar. However, my issue is right at the base of my skull and is caused by pressure from a lack of space around the vertebrae for spinal fluid. Your spine is surrounded in a pocket of this to act very much like an airbag and cushion the spine as it moves. With me though, I don't have enough room for the spinal fluid, and so I have to deal with a large amount of pain or discomfort. Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome, or KTS as I will be referring to it from now on, is the excess growth of vein or tissue within the human body. In my case, part of my body was sent the signal to grow, and that signal was not shut off at the same time on both halves of my body. You wouldn't notice by looking at me, but my right side is different from my left. And what you would notice is the abundance of veins close to the surface and how they affect my appearance. When I was born, I was a shade of purple and really freaked the doctors out. Even now, what I have are referred to as port wine stains. And although mine are nowhere near as severe as what you might find in pictures online, it still changes my appearance and forces me to need other aid. Just to explain, if you ever look this up online, you'll see some crazy pictures. With me, it's not too severe, just sort of looks like I've got some more purple and red on one side of my body, and the look of it really isn't that bad. My pain is caused by my pulse and heartbeat, and the more it pumps, the more things hurt. However, when I was younger, there were also more symptoms. I would become dizzy to the point of vertigo if I even just looked up, and if I bent over to tie my shoes or something, the pain got so bad that I would almost faint. Even now, I still have trouble bending over or looking up, but the surgeries that I've had have reduced the severity of that. So having a neck problem that worsens with pressure, but having excess vein and tissue growth on my right side that aggravates those symptoms even more is just the perfect recipe for pain. It has taken many, many years to gather the information that I've already told you so far, but we're just getting started at the explanation. The only way to find things out is to have good doctors. And frankly, if I was born in any other time, or even nowadays in any other country, I don't know if I would have made it to my mid-20s. But I've had medical services provided to me since birth because of the nation I live in. And my close proximity to America means that there are lots of really good specialist doctors that I can get in touch with as well. Starting out as a child, I would always get in trouble for not chewing my food, as when I would play after eating, I usually ended up not being able to keep down my meals. And until I was able to talk, my parents didn't even know that I was in pain. So the whole thing was I couldn't keep down my food because I would be in so much pain from running around after, my parents would say, "You've eaten, now go run around." I'd do that, and I wouldn't be able to keep down any of the food. It took me months to learn how to walk as a child, and apparently I had no interest in doing so. I was just a little lazy guy who just sat there. After my parents found out about my pain, they started to take me to more doctors. As I was a shade of purple when I was born, I was already in the hospital records to do with my veins, and I still go into the hospital from time to time every year or two, so they can take pictures and see how things have changed in the 20+ years. That's a really good thing that I try to do just because there's not many people with my certain disabilities, and if I can get any sort of records there that can help anyone, if a picture of me can help a doctor figure out and diagnose someone else, then it's a positive, and I'll continue to want to do that. I'm not exactly sure when the first MRI gave us clues about my neck, but eventually we found out how dangerous it was and how I'm at risk for serious injury from seemingly trivial matters. I had to wear a medic alert, which is a bracelet that informs everyone just in case I passed out or something, and even now I have to have something in my wallet in case if I ever get hurt and go unconscious, I need it to be explained that if you move my neck wrong, it could be serious injury. I can't get in fights, I can't do sports. There's so many things that I just can't do if I want to stay safe. I remember having a really big cry when I was 5 or 6 years old and had the realization that if I played outside at recess, that I couldn't stay through school or get my homework done. That's a really difficult thing. And then around grade 3, I was pulled from gym. Yeah, I still call it gym. And since then, I've had to walk on eggshells or face pain that would stop me from going to school or just doing basic activities. Having to face that at 5 years old really changes you. I've never stopped wanting things in life, but I did have to learn how to live without a lot and learn to recognize what I considered to be important in life. High school was probably the most difficult time in my life. By then I had a neurosurgeon that informed me of the options that I had for surgeries, and I'm so thankful for him. My first major surgery was in grade 9 when I had part of my spine removed to make more room for spinal fluid. It made an enormous difference. Now it wasn't my whole spine, just a few parts around the edges that could shave off a few centimeters to allow for some more room for spinal fluid. It made an enormous difference, but truthfully, no amount of life-changing surgeries could make high school more bearable. Did I have less pain? If so, I had less excuses for not doing schoolwork. Then one day in grade 11, I woke up with my head leaning almost onto my left shoulder. After an emergency trip to the hospital, I found out that my brain was growing out of my skull and down into my spine. Ugh. After a quick trip to the neurosurgeon, I went in for the biggest surgery yet. If you're a bit squeamish, obviously I'm a bit late into this for the warning, but this one gets a little bit more squeamish. I mean, it's nothing that bad. It's just surgery, so if you've ever seen a diagram of the human body and you can stand that, then you'll be fine with this. But anyway, first they removed a part of my skull to make even more room for my spine and to also make it so that my skull wouldn't pinch my brain when I looked up. And then they cauterized a part of my brain while removing another small piece. Now these pieces are less than 5 centimeters, I believe, but still it involved opening up the case that held my brain, and it still makes me shudder when I think about it. I can honestly still feel most of it right now, like when someone mentions your tongue and then you can't ignore it. You're welcome. During that surgery, my neurosurgeon said that they saw a vein that they didn't know about. They didn't know where it came from or where it was going, so they left it alone and told me. I suspect that was caused by my KTS, as my pain always increases with my pulse. Anything that gets my heart pumping causes me pain. Now this intertwining of problems goes even further. As proof that learning about my health is never over, I just learned about missing veins in my body just last year. In my mid-20s, I'm still learning new things. I had another MRI and it showed that not only do I have an increase of vein and tissue growth near the surface of my right side, but I'm completely missing some of the larger, deeper veins in my right leg. 6 or 7 years ago, I learned that my leg that swells up after standing for a while was something that could be fixed with a compression stocking. Basically just a really tight stocking that acts as a second skin to keep my veins from swelling up. And after putting it on for the first time, I felt like I got hours and hours more free energy every single day. And now just last year, I find out that I'm completely missing some of the deep veins in my right leg, and my body created a workaround. But since only the deep veins in your legs have valves to stop the blood from pooling, I now have a right leg that swells up. And as mentioned, anything that makes my pulse worse makes my pain worse. I am really thankful that I do have a functional leg, because as far as things go, I could have lost my leg when I was developing. Who knows? I'm happy that even though I'm missing some really important and functional veins, that I still do have a right leg. So only learning that a compression stocking would drastically improve my life in my mid-20s is very frustrating. But as I said, if I was born anywhere else, I doubt I'd still be here talking with you today. Now on to the medication. I've seen more doctors and specialists than I have years in my life. That's well over 20 doctors. I tried many types of medicines, including antidepressants. Antidepressants cover up certain receptors in the brain, and some of those receptors are the ones that receive pain. So certain antidepressants might dull or numb some pains. I've tried anti-inflammatories to ease my pulse. I've tried every kind of pseudoscience as well, just to make sure. I've had to go to pain clinics, wellness clinics, doctors, nurses, physiotherapists, actual therapists because of high school. I'm getting pissed off just thinking of everything I was forced to do. The pain clinics were filled with people who fell off ladders or got in a car crash and needed help coping with the change, like people in their 30s to 60s who had frankly amazing lives, and then they were just sad that they had to be disabled for the rest of their life. I had to sit there after school was done and comfort random strangers by telling them things that I knew by the time I was 5 or 6. Now, I'm not like angry that people were wanting help with their disabilities, but I was angry that I was forced to do these things, and it was just so much. Anyways, my disability is pretty hard to notice too. It's known as an invisible disability. It meant that I usually look better than I am, and I really try to make an effort to keep it that way. So if someone, say, just hurt themselves and they were really upset, and then they saw me who looks like there's no problem, they'd be like, hey, you're disabled but you look fine. And that's where the therapists come in, because I've been told by so many people so many different things, and then being like used as a crutch in some pain clinics to like help other people, it was way too much. After getting fed up with constant pain, constant homework, and parents, I started to get really frustrated, and I was on drugs that made me loud or excited or changed my personality all the time, trying different brands of antidepressants or anti-inflammatories just to see if I could find any relief from pain. And all of that really got to me. If it wasn't for the passing of a friend, I don't know how I would have regained any perspective. Her death made me realize so much and really put into perspective what was important in life, what was worth suffering for, and really the fact that getting through high school was the most important thing that I could do at the time. By the time grade 12 rolled around, I was taking straight morphine pills every few hours and T3s in between. It was almost impossible to get work done or get motivation to see friends. At my graduation ceremony, I remember having to go through a lot of morphine and T3s just to survive the night. And one of my worst experiences ever was the withdrawal from morphine when I quit. Truly one of the worst feelings ever. Aside from after my second big surgery, when I threw up from the pain, and literally having brain surgery and throwing up, and that pressure just creates a loop of pain, and so that was the worst thing ever to me. But the second worst thing ever was probably the withdrawal from morphine. It was awful, and it's convinced me to stay as far away from man-made drugs as I possibly can. It was around this time, after graduation, that new medicines were being talked about for me, including fentanyl of all things. Thank goodness I chose a different path. Now, jumping back to when I was 15, I was at one of the many specialists, this time at the BC Children's Hospital, and I was asked if I had ever smoked or had edibles before. And for YouTube's sake, I won't say the name of what I'm talking about, but you can tell by my channel name what ended up working for me. Anyways, we didn't go with it for 3 more years until I was 18 and had graduated high school. Then after I went through the withdrawal of morphine, I tried first man-made version of some of the edibles, and then eventually I tried the real deal. And guess what? Not only did my pain go away, but I got energy and started feeling happy too. There's a single medicine that gets rid of all my pain, but there's a catch. The more numb I am, the less I can get done. There's a middle ground between pain and work, and laziness and comfort, and I have to manage that by and for myself. So some of the effects of my new medicine are the horrible effect of euphoria, which is just great. It has an anti-inflammatory effect. It has an effect where it makes me hungry and actually wanting to put food into my body and get my energy going. There are so many things that I realized just affect me perfectly. It's the perfect medicine for me. Now, just because there is a medicine that works doesn't mean that my problems are solved. The medicine costs around $100 a day or $3,000 a month, and there's no coverage for it because they want to make money off of it. After bills, I have about $50 to $200 given the month. That's for groceries or anything else. So depending on whether I paid my electricity bill one month or whether I don't have to pay it the next month, I either have $50 or about $200 total for everything. It would be pointless to spend that on meds, as it's not even 2 days worth. And if I spent it, I'd never save up any money for my family's Christmas gifts or anything else. I haven't bought new clothes since high school. My biggest purchase in the past 3 years is my aquarium. I had never had pets ever in my life, and since I rarely leave my apartment, I like having them to watch when I'm rendering videos or making dinner. If I lived in a world where I could afford my meds, I honestly don't know how I'd even act. I've never had a day without pain, even though a medicine exists to make it so. And I'm allowed as much of it as I want. If I pay $100 a day for the cheapest stuff that they have on sale, That's literally the cheapest that they will sell it for. So the prices can be either $10 at the lowest or up to about $40 or $60 for the better ones, which I've never been able to afford. Or I can literally farm it myself and grow it myself. And since I need so much, it would be a full-time job, something I physically can't do because I have trouble bending over and standing up sometimes. I'm recording this the morning after I wrote the script, and I wasn't able to have a shower yesterday. I wasn't able to have a shower at night yesterday. I wasn't even able to have a shower again today, just because I keep getting these waves of almost fainting. Best way I can describe it is if you've ever been in a wave pool. Do you remember when you were a kid, you'd spend so long in the wave pool, and then when you were drifting off to sleep, you swear you could still feel it? That's what it feels like. I feel like I'm moving, or like the floor drops out from under me, but also with pain added in just for fun. As well, I usually lose my sight and hearing for a few moments when this happens. It probably happened anywhere from 5 to 10 times yesterday, even when I'm lying down. So on a day like yesterday when I was writing this script, I can't risk falling over in the shower. I know I'm like an old man, and I just have to deal with it. If you want to know what caused this pain, specifically, it was the extremely strenuous activity of going over to my parents for dinner from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock 2 nights beforehand, and then making an entire SAO review the day after. But I'd have to do this, or I'd have to stop making content for you, or stop seeing my family, and I'm not okay giving up either. I've been on YouTube for 5 years now. I have over 10,000 views, over 600 hours of videos watched on just over 200 videos total. I started with a music channel, but anything except original songs gets hit with copyright. I had a gaming channel, but my disability and lack of meds stopped that in its tracks. I also have had a channel for my pets, but now I can't make how to play guitar or how to clean your aquarium videos for all ages. So I'm onto this new channel now, where even if I can't stand up, even if I can't move, I can still write a script, record something cool, and share it with you. The only work is the editing, but I find it so rewarding to create videos, and essentially to be doing something with my life. For me, the other best pain medicine is music. I have headphones on almost all day, every day. I mostly play guitar and sing, but I also like piano, and I used to play drums back in high school. Counterintuitive, I know, but I've had a lot of anger, and drumming is something you can do for just a song or two at a time. You don't have to play drums for hours at a time. You can just like play one song. I had headphones on through most of middle and high school, and there's not a day that goes by without me turning on my iPod and constantly having to recharge it. I don't get to do much, and I rarely get to see friends, so music is perfect for me, and in turn, so is YouTube. The only reason I stopped making music on YouTube is the turnaround. I can always get a video about a TV show or D&D edited and done and online by the end of the day, but when I force music, it's never as good, and the energy required to lay down so many tracks, note for note, without missing a beat is much more intensive than my little Dungeons and Dragons videos. Because I spend so much time in pain, unable to act, I spend a lot of it in my mind imagining, and I finally became brave enough to discuss those ideas with all of you. It's as much for my mental sanity that I make daily videos as it is for money or anything else. I've never had a well-paying job. I won't get a retirement fund for working hard at YouTube unless that's my goal and I seek to make it a reality. I have been well aware from a young age that I only get what I work for, and anything else is not to be depended or relied upon without any reasonable doubt or backup of a backup. The reason I can't sleep when I'm writing the script isn't just because of the pain, it's because of my attitude, that every moment I'm not spent worrying is a moment I'm not spent preparing for hardships and preparing to minimize the negative impact that could occur from whatever problem comes next. I just realized how much I wrote here. I know it's probably way more than you were asking for, but if this helps anyone, even if only for showing that many of us have our own challenges to overcome, then I'll be happy. If you'd like anything cleared up, then leave any questions or suggestions below. I'm happy to answer them or to make a part 2 if there are enough questions. I know I probably only touched on certain subjects for a moment or two here, and if you want any more explanation, just let me know. And if you're a super rich philanthropist that wants to solve my money problems, or just a kind person that wants to help, please mention it in the comments below, and I'll jump on the Patreon train and see how far it can take me. I'm super tired now. Writing this script, it just hit 4:30 in the morning, but I'm happy I got this done, and now I can have a good rest and then record the audio and do all the editing tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my rant/intro into the completely wonderful world of a disabled YouTuber. Once again, I'm not above asking for help, so please leave me a message if you think that I should start a Patreon. Otherwise, I'll keep up the daily uploads. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.